talking about something. Hey guys, Ryan here, and today we're going to be talking about something that I haven't really talked all that much about, and I haven't done an in-depth video on it. But seeing as there was no big NASCAR news that I saw that I'm seeing for coming tomorrow, and I wanted to get a video out for you guys, mainly to keep my streak alive of keeping videos going to you guys daily. I'm gonna see how long I can keep that up for. But we're going to be talking about Erik Jones and where he's going to go, because I feel like right now there's a lot of rumors and a lot of news that is coming soon, but I don't think we've got anything really coming until for the next week or two. So content's going to be a little different, but yeah, so we're going to be talking about where Erik Jones lands in 2021. Because there's been some rumors, there's been a lot of people talking over the many months, even back to like February and March, where it was like a question of, okay, is he on the hot seat at JGR? And a lot of people didn't think he was. Then when Levine shut down, and Joe Gibbs had the choice, he ended up going with Christopher Bell. I feel like that's a very coin flip level decision. You can't really, I mean, they're very tough to tell. And now we've gone many months, I think, when he was first released, and since that same week, Brad Keselowski was re-signed to the 2, meaning he could not be the driver of the 48, now 88 or 5 or whatever number they end up going with. It was Jones that was speculated to be that replacement. Then you had just recently the rumors of Larson going to Hendrick, kind of resurfacing after his slip up, slip up earlier in the year during the Monza Madness race, iRacing thing, where he got canceled. He has now been he has been out of the sport since that race. So he has done no iRacing stuff on the national television. He's done no racing on national television. He's done dirt racing basically since then, as well as building his image back up, and has recently started having meetings with high up GM executives, including, I believe, the president of competition at General Motors / Chevrolet. So having talks with high level people there tells me that he might be working his way towards a Chevy comeback. So a lot of people have been starting to talk about him to that 48. So I'm starting to think Jones to the 48. I'm just gonna say it. I think it's a stretch. I don't think it's impossible. I'd say about 20% chance Jones ends up in the 48. But that's not where I would put my money on. Then you've got him kind of following the Suarez path of being out at JGR, Joe Gibbs Racing, and heading over to StewartHaas Racing in an opening at Cup. Really, I think that seat is either going to go to Larson again, because Tony Stewart very much respects that dirt racing background, or it's going to go to Chase Briscoe, their Xfinity driver, who's been tearing it up in Xfinity and really looking like a threat wherever he goes. Road courses especially, but also that Bristol dirt race this coming year, that could be a very good one. So I think StewartHaas, they're going to go with one of those two drivers. If they can get Larson, they're going to get Larson. Otherwise, I think they're going to go with Briscoe. I'd say maybe a 5 to 10% chance Jones lands at SHR in that number 14 car. We know Almirola's re-signed. So then that leaves a few rides open that we don't really know if he has, because we don't really know any of the offers that he may or may not have. There's been heavy rumors about the 37. There hasn't been as many rumors, but other open rides include the 32 of Go Fast, the 43 at Richard Petty Motorsports are really the other three, I would say, even remotely competitive Cup options. And those rides, I think the 43 is going to go to the highest bidder, which I believe will probably end up resulting in being Ty Dillon. I think his grandfather is going to try and keep him in the sport, and after today's stage win, I think he deserves to. I think he's due an upgrade in equipment, or at the very least a 1-to-1. I don't know how that Germain Racing equipment compares to the equipment that Bubba Wallace has been making look better and better every year. But I would say that would be a fair move for Ty Dillon, because I don't think the money's there to end up doing a third full RCR car. Then you look at the 37, which I think has been. I've seen some rumors also about that one. Again, I think that's probably his most likely Cup option. I'd say it's kind of mixed between that and the 32, which Corey LaJoie has already said he will be exiting at the end of the season. There also could be a major shuffle around, like LaJoie in at the 37, Priest out and back to Xfinity or something, and Jones in at the 32. I think the most likely thing I could expect would be maybe a trade between JTG and Go Fast. So seeing Corey LaJoie go over to the 37 and Ryan Priest settling in at that 32, which would be very not great for Jones, because that would be two more Cup options off the table. So I would say probably a 25% he goes to. I'll say 25% chance he goes to one of those two rides. I think it's more likely than the Hendrick option, but I think it's less likely than another option that I think he probably should look at, which would be a top level Xfinity ride. Because there's going to be a number of, I would say, solid cars open that I don't think have an obvious replacement yet in Xfinity, that I think would also provide good long-term Cup opportunities, because that's something really that Erik Jones hasn't had. He hasn't had the Xfinity time at Joe Gibbs Racing, mainly because Kyle's usually in the car, or in this case they have a third full-time driver there this year, kind of taking up a lot of that potential seat time for Jones to try and get some extra laps under his belt. So I would say look at the top Xfinity teams for also potential landing spots. So if Briscoe does go to Cup, the 98's an option. Rumors have it that Herbst might be going back to trucks, or just not being in that 18 Xfinity car. So possibly Jones could try and mend the bridge at Joe Gibbs Racing, which actually I think that would probably be his best option personally, considering I think he still has a great relationship with Joe Gibbs, because it doesn't seem like Erik Jones' style to burn that bridge. And certainly I think Joe Gibbs feels like he really was put in a position to make a very tough choice this most recent offseason, where he had to choose between Erik Jones and Christopher Bell for that 20 car. So if he could help Jones land on his feet in a competitive ride, potentially back up to Cup in either Denny Hamlin Racing or another team within the next couple of years, maybe that would be a landing spot for him. I don't really see Gaunt Brothers surviving being out, or having Daniel Suarez out. I think they were very funding dependent, and in particular I think the pandemic as well is going to, at the very least, is going to put them out for the rest of this next year. I think they'll either go to part-time with a driver that has funding, which I don't really know what funding Jones brings with him, but that would be another big question, is what funding does he have. So I'm looking at cars that have the least amount of worries about funding. So Corvette Parts obviously funding a lot of the 32, Kroger funding a lot of the 37. Joe Gibbs Racing, I don't think they would be too I think a lot of their partners wouldn't mind doing Xfinity with Jones. The 98's been heavily sponsored by Ford, so potentially Jones could go there. And then, because also I don't really see many prospects ready to move up. Like looking at the truck program for Toyota, neither of those drivers, Eckes or Lassard, are really ready, I think, for Cup or Xfinity. So I don't think they're going to move them up that soon. I would hope they'd give Lassard and Eckes some time in trucks to really understand what they're doing and get some laps in there, because I feel like that's kind of the issue Toyota's had a couple of times now, is rushing guys up to fill seats. So yeah, so I'd say the 18 would be an option in Xfinity. The 98, the number 10 colleague car, I think Allmendinger will probably fill that full time next year. Just because they've had him in there for so long, and he's done pretty well, winning his first oval race and a road course race now as well. And I would anticipate that the Xfinity schedule will show a lot of the same changes that the Cup Series is, with adding more road courses. I would expect you could see up to 8 or 9 road courses on the Xfinity schedule. So bring in an Allmendinger to the team to try and capitalize on those increased number of road courses on the season. I think that would be a great move for colleagues. So that would be a top Xfinity ride that Jones would not be the front runner for. RCR, I think they've got plenty of talent already in their system, so I don't think that's a competitive Xfinity ride he'd get. So, yeah, so I'm just going to kind of wrap this one up here and kind of finalize some of my thoughts. So I think 5% chance he ends up at the StewartHaas number 14 Cup car. I think a 10% chance he ends up at the Hendrick Motorsports 4th car, whatever number that ends up being. I think a 25% chance he lands, I think split the 25% chance, so 12.5 or whatever, that he ends up at either Go Fast or the 37. I don't think he lands at I don't think there's any situation in which he lands at Richard Petty. And then for the Xfinity rides, again, I'd kind of split it 50-50 down there as well. If he does go to Xfinity, I don't really have a solid pick. I think his best ride would be the 18. I think the most likely would be one of those 2 Cup rides I mentioned, either the JTG Daugherty car, the 37 or the 32, I would say, are the most likely options, considering both their drivers have been at the very least in question, and we know the 32 is empty a driver next year. So the way I would probably anticipate it going is I'd say Corey LaJoie moves over to the 37, and then Jones takes over that 32, potentially with StewartHaas equipment if StewartHaas is interested in him. If not, I would be curious to see how that 32 performs next year. But those are just kind of a lot of my thoughts on where Jones does go. I quite like Jones, and I'd love to see him take the Xfinity route. But if he has sponsors with him, kind of like Suarez, that don't want him going down there, I'd say the 32 is probably his most competitive option, just because we've seen the 30, the whatever car Ryan Preece has been in for the last 2 years, really struggling. I don't think it's purely Ryan Preece dependent. We've seen it for a while. We've seen it kind of an imbalance ever since they added the second car at JTG, that one of the 2 cars falls behind for one reason or another. I don't think Allmendinger or Chris Buescher were really the problem, but you saw the 47 slide further back. Then you saw Preece come in and take over that car, and it continued to slide further and further down. So I don't think it was really a driver-dependent issue. I think it's a problem with them expanding to 2 cars when they weren't really ready. So, yeah, so that's pretty much everything on this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys did enjoy, hit the like button on the video. Subscribe if you guys are new, and comment down below where you guys think or where you guys would like to see Jones end up next year. But that's all from me for today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video, live stream, or whatever you guys decide to do with the rest of your day. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.